There are no shoulds in the beard growing world, and whether or not you should shave the middle part of your mustache is completely up to you. Some people do, some people don't. I actually did a poll on this channel and I found that 87% of people don't shave or touch the middle bit of their mustache. 8% do, said yes, and then 5% said sometimes. So you'll see that a lot of people actually don't do anything with the middle part of their mustache, but I just want to say that there are no shoulds. If you think shaving the middle part of your mustache will make it look better, do it. It always can grow back to where it is right now. And for me, I've just never done it because I can grow a good amount of hair in the middle. I want a full mustache that can support my longer beard. When my beard was a bit shorter, I did consider sort of shaving in a notch. And when I went to see a professional barber, the couple of times I've done a sort of like professional trim up of my beard, they did sort of like shave in a little notch. I'm still a little bit confused about like where the notch should be, how it should match my lips, so I just leave it well alone. And getting it dead center and sort of, you know, keeping the notch clean, I think is important, and that's just not something I'm willing to do every single day or every couple of days. But if you feel like doing it, give it a go. So what we'll do in this video now is we'll go through all of the different reasons why you may want to shave a notch in the middle of your mustache, and the places of your mustache that are actually incredibly important to trim up. This video is based on an article on beardgrowingpro.com, so go check it out. I've got diagrams, I've got links to studies and science. All of this is expanded on. All of the information in this video is expanded on because I've got a lot more information to tell you. Go check it out, and if this video is helpful for you, give it a thumbs up. You may want to consider shaving the middle part of your mustache for a number of reasons, and here they are. The first one is that you have a small gap anyway. Now, your genetics will determine your growth pattern. Your genetics will determine how sensitive your hair follicles are to DHT that comes from testosterone being metabolized by an enzyme and then sort of get into the follicles, and it may be that the little patch in the middle just isn't very responsive. It's not responsive to the androgens that are in your body, and you'll end up with a tiny gap. And if your gap is particularly thin compared to the outsides of your mustache, you may want to just double down on that and actually shave it out. And that's not such a bad thing. There are plenty of celebrities with a relatively thin and dense, is that the right term, part of their mustache right in the philtrum area. So if you're in that boat, just consider giving it a little bit of a shave or a little bit of a trim, and keeping it done regularly, I think, is the key to making a mustache notch or a mustache philtrum kind of patch look good. Shorter beards and shorter mustaches also, I think, look way better than if you've got a full beard or a full mustache. Now, if you've got a full mustache like me, I like to kind of make sure that it's nice and full all the way across. The hairs from the top go all the way down to the bottom of my lip, and you can see that just on the weekend, I trimmed up so that you can just see my top lip, and my bottom lip has always been nice and sort of like in the wild. And so if you've got a shorter beard and you're using trimmers to trim up your beard, you know, to a 2 or a 3 or whatever you do, you may consider sort of trimming up the middle bit of your mustache a little bit shorter than the other bits of the mustache. You know, fade out into the mustache. This is particularly good if you've got light hair, low growth, and yeah, it's another reason why you may want to consider just putting a little notch or a little bit of a shave right in the middle, and that's completely up to you. The second thing is your philtrum. The philtrum is the bit of your nose which kind of looks like a little kind of like dent right in the middle. It's actually when you're a baby where all of your skull grows together and it comes together right in the middle and creates a little philtrum just under your nose. Now, the thing about this is that it can be different widths for different people. So if you've got a particularly large philtrum, you may find that your hairs don't grow very well right in the middle. Give it a shave, see if it makes it look better. The contrast between the middle and the outside bit can actually make the outside bit look thicker if you shave a little notch in the middle. The philtrum is different for different people, and also it's a place where the angle of the skin changes quite quickly, and the depth of the philtrum can change for different people. So it does mean that the philtrum, as it goes in, it can sort of make the outside parts or the inside parts look relatively sparse because it's pushing the hair growth in different directions. So by tidying that up and just owning it, putting a little bit of a notch or shaving it down a little bit shorter, that can actually help the mustache look a little bit thicker and fuller across the full length. The growth direction as well can mean that you do want to put a little bit of a notch in the middle. Now, I've got a fantastic friend who I see every Monday. I walk, his name is Swaranjat, and he has got a fantastic mustache. I'll try to see if I can get a photo for this channel. But he told me that he puts a handkerchief, this is not a handkerchief, but he gets a handkerchief every morning, he splays in the middle, and then he puts this around and ties it up behind his head so that his mustache lays out flat for a few minutes, maybe an hour, and that helps the growth direction, helps the mustache come out. Now that is an awesome tip, and if you've got a gap in the middle and your hair is not covering it over, you may want to double down on that and just make sure that your hair lies out by using that little handkerchief trick. The growth direction of your hair may also mean that the hair comes in, which means you'll end up with gaps either side of your philtrum. So, you know, you have to work with what you've got. And my advice for most people is if it's something you don't like, just double down on it for a bit. See if it can make your beard or your mustache look awesome. Here are the other places on your mustache that I think is incredibly important. You cannot just shave your mustache gap. You have to kind of look at your mustache as an entire beast, an entire being. Now the first line is the top line. This top line I tend to leave well alone unless there's some hairs that sit significantly out of the main bulk of the hair. Now I have got one or two that I trim up, but I tend to leave this line relatively full, and that's because I want my mustache hairs to go from the very top all the way across, all the way to the bottom of my lip, and you may want the same as well. So this top line, don't touch it too much unless you've got a short beard or a short mustache that you trim up with a trimmer. Just get razor blades just to define that edge a little bit more, and like I said, the contrast between your skin and your mustache will make your mustache look much more kind of dense, thick, and contrasty with the skin. The sides is a place that a lot of people, I think, unless you've got a relatively long beard, it can kind of really define what happens. Here with mine, the sides come out and they rest against the hairs here, and so I do find I have to just trim it up every so often to stop it just being bushy. That's my personal preference. And I saw a guy at the markets, in the Adelaide Central Markets just this weekend. He had a glorious mustache that was completely separate from his beard, and it came out, and I was like, oh, if only I had the patience to kind of put up with all of the hairs getting in my mouth. But he had a massive mustache that sat outside of that. So the sides, if you want that kind of awesome big mustache, fancy mustache option, look, you can grow out your mustache on the sides, but I like to trim it up just so it blends in nicely with the beard. Now the bottom line is one of the most important lines. I like to keep mine just on or above the top lip, and what that does is means that it just doesn't get in my mouth while I'm eating. I have tried to grow out my beard and my mustache lines a little bit over my lip, but it just gets in the way of everyday life, and I end up just licking it like that all the time, and doing this, rubbing my lips against the top bit, and it just is very I remember one day when I let my mustache grow out, I was like doing this all day, and my jaw was aching. I was like, why is my jaw so like sore? It's because I was just doing this all day while I was on the computer. So if that's something you want to avoid, keep it a little bit higher so you're not kind of getting the top mustache hairs tickling the bottom lip, and thinning out. Now, I went to a barber and I didn't like what they did to my mustache. They grabbed their trimmers and they thinned out the mustache by just going up over the edge a little bit. And to me, that was just a little bit too thin. You can get a comb, push it up and trim. I've got all of this on the blog, so go check it out. There's actual pictures of me doing this, so you can push your comb up and trim, and that thins it out just a little bit, just so that you don't end up with a really bushy mustache if that's the look you're going for. Yeah, those are the places that I think you can trim up a mustache to keep it looking awesome. Those are like leave the top. Not many people do that, but the bottom and the sides and the thinning out is really important. And the mustache middle, that's completely up to you. Have a look at your mustache. And like I said, there are no shoulds in the beard growing world. So if you feel like you want to give it a go, give it a go. A couple of months, it can grow back and you've learned what looks good and what doesn't look good. If you've got more questions, head over to beardgrowingpro.com, where I am on a mission to answer every single beard question that has ever been answered. There's a link in the description to the article that this video is based on. Go check it out. There's much more information in that article than I could squeeze in this video, and I shall see you in the next video.